Which pitching prospects should you target in 2026? Find out next on Fantasy Baseball Today Express. Welcome into FBT Express on Friday, December 19th. I am Frank Sanford, joined by Scott White, and let's take a look at impact pitching prospects for 2026 redraft league, Scott. And at the top, we have Bubba Chandler of the Pirates, who had a weird season last year. He was dominating in the minors. We all thought he was going to get called up in May, June. It never happened. He started to struggle, eventually got the call, and he finished really strong. We're hoping what we saw towards the end of the season, he carries that over into 2026.
Yeah, I mean, it restored my confidence in him, put him back atop the list of pitcher prospects here, obviously. We all expected he would come up in May, including Chandler himself. And he spoke to this, I think, even before he got called up, how he grew frustrated because through his first 11 starts at AAA, Bubba Chandler had a 2.03 ERA, 12.8 K per nine. Like, he was going exactly according to plan. And the Pirates, I feel like it became this vicious cycle where the Pirates delayed it a little longer, and Chandler grew more and more frustrated, and eventually he struggled to the point where they couldn't call him up at that point because he just wasn't going well. Was especially struggling with control, and that's part of what makes his time in the majors so encouraging, is that turned on a dime in terms of the control. Just 4 walks and 31 and a third innings. The stuff is the best in the minors. So I think if he can continue with the control he showed after being called up, Chandler makes sense as the number one pitching prospect still.
Yeah, those final 3 starts for Bubba Chandler, 16 and 2/3 innings, 2 runs allowed, 19 strikeouts to 0 walks. He was insane. Another pitcher who was insane down the stretch, Trey Yesavage of the Blue Jays, a meteoric rise. Just a crazy year for Yesavage, who started his season in low A, finished it in the World Series where he struck out 12 against the Dodgers. So obviously he's got the talent is evident here. There are some questions about the control, but it sounds like the gloves are off. There are no limitations for next season. It's just, if we could keep those walks down, I think we can get a huge season out of Yesavage.
Yeah, I've actually been surprised how reasonable the cost has been for Yesavage in early drafts on NFBC, given the amount of headlines he grabbed, given the national spotlight he had, and given the name value he accumulated as a result. His major league debut in September, dominant, 9 strikeouts. You mentioned that start against the Dodgers, but that probably wasn't even his best postseason start. His postseason debut against the Yankees, 5 1/3 no-hit innings with 11 strikeouts. So Yesavage had these absolute bangers after having nearly 15 K per nine during his climb up the minor league ladder. So tons of upside here with that over-the-top delivery, the splitter that fits it perfectly. Now it's worth noting that there were the bangers, and then in between the bangers, there were some struggles at times for Yesavage. You mentioned the control problems, but we just talked about control concerns for Bubba Chandler, and the next guy on the list, there's some control concerns there too. So I don't think Yesavage is unique in that regard, particularly for this stage of development, and you got to love the strikeout upside he's already showing against the toughest competition in the world.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back right after this.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
Welcome back in FBT Express, looking at pitching prospects for 2026. And next up, we have Nolan McClean of the Mets, who was great down the stretch as well. He's got a diverse pitch mix, incredible stuff, big spin, lots of ground balls as well. Also some questions with the control here, Scott, but lots of enthusiasm for McClean. In fact, early ADP, he's going 40 to 50 picks ahead of both Yesavage and Bubba Chandler.
Yeah, so McClean is getting the bump that I expected Yesavage to get, honestly. And I value them about equally. I understand I put Yesavage one spot ahead here. but it's pretty much equal. I think McLean has a little more. It's a little more of a pitch to contact profile. I understand the strikeout rate over 10 per 9 in both the majors and minors last year, but that time in the majors, the actual swinging strike rate was less than 11%, which usually doesn't lend itself to such a big strikeout rate. Good ground ball skills, and generally those guys are going to shy away from strikeouts a little more. So I don't think it's as fantasy friendly of a profile as Yesavage or Bubba Chandler. But obviously he looked ready for this opportunity, clearly, down the stretch last year, an impressive 8-start stint for McLean. And I like that he has a 6-pitch arsenal. It gives him ample room to fine-tune his approach, where somebody like Yesavage, for instance, it's really dependent on that splitter.
Next up is another pitcher who finished strong, and that is Connelly Early of the Red Sox, who also has a diverse pitch mix. He also gets ground balls, performed really well in the minors last year. There are some questions whether or not he'll be in the Red Sox rotation to start the year, but, they've been linked to a bunch of trades. Perhaps he winds up on another team. He will pitch at some point next season, and I think, Scott, there is a lot to like here about Connelly Early.
Yeah, the proof is in the pudding. 2.33 ERA with a great strikeout rate. For a guy who, on conventional prospect lists, he's not going to show up that high, Connelly Early, because I think by traditional evaluation standards, he doesn't really pop. He doesn't have that carrying pitch that evaluators look for. But he does have 6 pitches, and he throws strikes. And we've seen already, proof of concept. This works. The whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So I am thinking this is one that traditional evaluation standards just missed. They just missed on Connelly Early because performance was good in the minors. It was good in the majors. I'm ready to say he's a real one. He's going to matter for us in fantasy.
Last name we're going to talk about here is Logan Henderson of the Brewers, who has a wicked fastball changeup combination. He's dealt with a lot of injuries, so there is some downside there. Currently on the outside looking in, I think it's a foregone conclusion the Brewers are going to trade Freddie Peralta this offseason. So there will be ways for Logan Henderson to get in this rotation. It's just whether or not he can actually stay on the mound next season.
Yeah. I mean, so he was obviously great in the starts he made for the Brewers, but the Brewers didn't seem to be fully bought in, did they? They repeatedly sent him back to AAA, and at AAA he was more good than great. Had a 3.59 ERA there. Did Logan Henderson? It's sort of like Connelly Early, where the actual arsenal isn't the sort that makes prospect evaluators' hearts go pitter-pat. There's a great fastball changeup pairing there. That the shapes counter each other well. And hopefully that's enough to sustain Logan Henderson. But it leaves little margin for error, particularly since the velocities are modest. And so it's hard to give him the ranking that maybe his initial showing in the majors last year, maybe you feel like it deserves. But that's why. And it could work out great. I'd still have him as a top 30 pitching prospect. He's going to be in my top 100 prospects overall. But if you're wondering why Logan Henderson isn't higher, that's the reason why.
All right, Scott, this is the last time we're going to see you for a while here. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to our full-length podcast, Fantasy Baseball Today, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today Express, and we will be back again next week. Bye-bye.